Hi everyone, today I'm also talking about a topic that I've been asked about quite a few times by you, and it's about the out-of-body experience. I'll be referring to it as OB because it's a bit shorter, and I've been asked whether I've got any certain techniques that I'm using or any tips on that topic. First of all, I'd like to say that concerning my OBEs, they've been quite different and rather spontaneous. It's nothing that I wanted to happen, not that I didn't want it to happen, but I never really thought about it and they just happened spontaneously. And ever since my first one I got intrigued and started reading up about it. But the very first time that it happened was on a day when I was very tired, very exhausted, and I came home and I just wanted to sleep, just wanted to lie in bed and sleep, and that's what I did. So I went to bed and drifted off relatively quickly, and whilst asleep I sort of felt how my etheric body was in the lotus position and my spine was straight up. Even though my physical body was resting, I felt that my etheric body was in that posture, and it was very weird because I felt this sort of suction from my crown chakra. And soon after that I felt how my etheric body in the lotus posture was being sucked out of my crown chakra into the universe, which was very very beautiful and very interesting. So I found myself in the universe, in the lotus posture, looking around and being just amazed by the sight of it. And what was happening is that I felt I was moving through the universe with a quite high speed, like that, in the lotus posture, sort of driving through the universe. And I saw that in front of me there was this golden light. It's a big golden light. It was a source of light that I was aiming towards, and it was really beautiful. I felt this magical sort of attraction. I just wanted to be there. I wanted to go there. I wanted to see what it is. And I was driving through the universe towards this golden light, but luck has it, I didn't make it there, and before I reached the light I was back in the body. And needless to mention, I was very disappointed that I didn't find out what it was. But at the same time, of course, I was very happy and very grateful for that experience. And that is when my interests really started taking off and I started to read up about it. And the next time it happened, my OBE was very different and rather chaotic and had a totally different quality. But nevertheless, that experience I'm going to talk about now was the one that taught me the most, and I hope I can give you some helpful tips on that as well. So what was happening was I was lying on the bed and I fell asleep. And the thing is, I knew that even though my body was asleep, my mind wasn't. I was mentally awake, and that was that state I was in. And I was just thinking, okay, let's see if this actually works. And I just thought, I want to leave the body. And that was all it took to induce the OBE. And what was happening is I felt those vibrations, those classical vibrations the literature talks about, but I did not know about at that point. I hadn't read up on it at this point, so for me it was a total surprise. So what was happening, I felt this vibration of my etheric body. I felt how the physical and the etheric body were separating, and that started with the vibration, and it started in the area of my arms, and I sort of reached the whole etheric body, and they were quite intense, and I was a bit nervous because I didn't know what it actually was, but I was just focused and I thought, I want to leave the body. And in that moment I actually left the body. The vibrations have stopped and I was on my way up to the ceiling. And I thought, oh, that's nice. Now that I'm out of the body, I can actually walk through walls, just float through and just do whatever. But before I reached the ceiling, I actually managed to look down and saw my physical body lying there. What was really weird. It was really weird for me. I was fascinated, yet somehow, I don't know how to put it. It was a very strange experience seeing yourself lying there. So I quickly turned away and I focused again on my aim that was floating through the wall, because I thought that's just what you can do when you're out of the body. So I reached the ceiling and unfortunately I made the ceiling the center of my attention in that moment. I didn't focus on my aim, which was leaving the building, going straight up to the sky or the universe. No, I was thinking in much narrower terms, and that was, I want to go through the ceiling. So the ceiling was actually what I had to deal with, and I could not go through it. I couldn't flow through it. It had a really weird consistency. It was quite it was a bit powdery, and I tried to dig some holes with my hands into it, and that was ridiculous because I spent ages trying to dig a hole through the ceiling to actually be able to leave through it. But later I realized that it was my own fault that I didn't manage in the end, because I was so consumed with the ceiling itself. So people, when you have an OBE and you want to go and get to places, don't waste your time thinking about the seeming obstacles in the way. Just think of where you want to go. So that's something I'm grateful for, because that experience taught me. What was happening then was that I felt worries and I was a bit scared. I had this certain fear emerging inside of me that I wouldn't be able to go back into the physical body, and that thought alone kind of just brought me back to the body. And on my way back to the bed, I saw this entity sitting by my physical body. There was this entity sitting on the bed and looking at me, and I was scared, to be honest, because I didn't know what I was dealing with, and it looked a bit like I don't know, like a skeleton or something, and it was wrapped in cloth, in sort of white cloth, so I couldn't really see it. I could only see the shape, and I saw it was very skinny, and it looked at me. I was not yet back in the body, but I saw it, and even though I was scared, I managed to look it in the face, or what was there. It was just a cloth it was covered in, and I commanded it to leave, and in that moment I was back in the body. And once awake, I looked around. Also, I checked with my third eye whether the entity was still there or not, and fortunately it was gone. But the thing is, this incident also taught me that I need to, and you guys as well, when you're trying to experiment with OBEs, when you meditate, or even before regular bedtime, please get a light protection. And you can do this by either asking your angels, your spirit guides, God, the universe, whoever you believe in, or you just visualize it yourself. Visualize yourself amongst a white ball of light. And also, don't forget to ask your angels and whoever you believe in to close the gates to the lower dimensions, because that's where those entities come from. I'm not trying to scare you, it's just very important that we understand how these dimensions work, how they're sort of intertwined, how entities can just enter our life if we when we're in that state, which is a very vulnerable state. I mean, we're vulnerable when we sleep, when we're when the body is sort of paralyzed, the sleep paralysis, and we're only awake in the mind, and that's when we see what happens around us. So by all means, get your protection before you experiment, before you do your practice, and also before regular sleep, because I'm speaking from experience here. I've had quite a few unpleasant experiences just because I forgot to protect myself before sleep, because we are vulnerable in that state. So get your light protection, close the gates to the lower dimensions, and then that's all you need in that moment. As for techniques, I can't really say I'm using any because my experiences happened quite spontaneously. Also the one after that, which was rather chaotic. I was just asleep and I left the body, and I didn't really manage to go anywhere, do anything, because it was so spontaneous. I was so overwhelmed by the spontaneous separation of the physical and etheric body that I was just basically floating around by the ceiling and not really knowing what to do, how to control the etheric body, and I just wanted to be back, and that thought catapulted me back in the body, so that was that. And also experiences afterwards have been quite, confusing. So I'm still learning myself, but what I can say is that light protection itself is very, very important. And also I'd like to point out to the fact that we can't just train it like that, and not everyone will be able to move this way and to leave the physical body, and that is because, as in any case, the soul has its last say. The soul knows best. The soul knows us. The soul knows our tendencies, and sometimes there are people who have the tendency, probably, to just get lost on the planes, to get lost in the higher planes and not wanting to return. And I can assure you that first time when I was floating through the universe, I had no intention of going back, because it was so beautiful and that light was so magical. I just wanted to stay there. I just wanted to go there. But well, my soul was the one who was in charge, so she made sure I was put back in the body. And often when you guys write that you want to induce it and you're trying to reach this and that state, yes, of course you can train it. You can train your mental abilities so that you'll be able to be aware that you're asleep, just like in the lucid dream. Lucid dreaming is just another, I think, another incarnation of OBEs. It takes the same abilities and same prerequisites. So if you're able to have lucid dreams, you may as well be able to have OBEs. I'm sure that's what something that people will be able to have in one way or the other, either lucid dreams or OBEs or both. But when these things happen spontaneously, then there's also something that the soul decided for you to happen, either to teach you a lesson, like in my case, or to just show you what's there, what's there in the so-called invisible worlds, what the higher planes are like, and also to give us maybe a beautiful experience. And when the soul decides that maybe now is not the time for us to experience it, or when the soul just refuses us to allow us to leave the body, then that is for a good reason. And even though we will probably be impatient or frustrated because it seems so amazing and we want to experience it, trust your soul. Your soul knows best, and if your soul doesn't let you experience this right now, it doesn't mean she or he won't let it happen at a later point. And it also will mean that you need protection, that the soul wants to protect you, and that it's not a good idea maybe at this point, or maybe generally, because you will get lost on the planes, or you're too attached to the higher planes. And so that's what I wanted to add to this whole topic. Of course, there are countless books by Monroe and so many other writers, standard books on this topic, and I'm sure you already know about the techniques that are very common when it comes to OBEs. From my experience, it's just important to get the light protection and to train the mind to stay focused in that moment, and to see what's possible to create with thinking, just wanting, wishing, with pure will. And that was basically what put me back in the body and put me out again the second time I experienced it. So work on your mind, work on your mental abilities, and maybe you want to start by training your ability to lucid dream and lucid dreaming, and I think that's a gateway to OBEs. So let me know how things work out for you, what experiences you have. Make sure you have your light protection, and I hope you have wonderful experiences, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.